Hello, I'm Allison Burns, and thanks for watching My TV Tampa Bay. On tonight's show, we want to share with you the physical dangers of smoking and the local organizations that provide programs and counseling on how to quit this addicting habit. This is Tampa Bay Right Now. With me first is Gary White, the Tobacco-Free Florida Grant Program Manager from the organization HCADA, to tell us about their benefit towards the local community. That is quite a title.
It is, and it's a lot of great work.
Yeah, so what does HCADA stand for?
HCADA stands for the Hillsborough County Anti-Drug Alliance, and we are a nonprofit organization working with substance abuse prevention here in Hillsborough County. A large geographical area, but with our partners, we get a lot of great work done.
And so what do you do? What is that long title that you have?
Well, Tobacco-Free Florida, let's start first there.
Yeah.
Happy Tobacco-Free Florida Week. That's this week.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
So they can, your viewers can go to our website, www.hcada.com, and they can see some other information about what we're doing in the community. But I manage a grant that really has to do with community interventions.
Okay.
So what we do is we help the entire community, whether you're an employer, individual, a faith-based group. We help people talk about how to stay off of tobacco. But if you are using tobacco, we also have some great partners that will help them quit tobacco.
And so what is your goal for this organization?
Well, the goal for this organization is really to have healthy communities in Hillsborough that are free of substance abuse. You know, we have 4 different task forces. One of the things we do is we work with prescription drug abuse, marijuana. We also work with alcohol abuse, and also in the program that I specifically work with is tobacco. So if we can increase the education and awareness, community mobilization through our policymakers, our leaders, to try to realize communities that are free from substance abuse, I think we rest better at night.
And do you find that using tobacco, that people think, oh, that's not such a bad thing, as opposed to marijuana or prescription drugs? Do you find that people are like, oh, it's not so bad, it's just a cigarette?
Absolutely. And you know what? That same school of thought is with the tobacco industry. They would prefer our Hillsborough County residents to think that it's not so bad.
Yeah.
So if it's hookah, and a lot of your viewers probably know about hookah, or if it's a cigarette or dip, or, you know, the little pouches, snooze, and there are so many different products, they would prefer to perpetuate that myth of it's harmless. And so we work hard at letting the Hillsborough County residents know that it's not harmless.
Yeah.
And it can affect your health. When you talk about people who are concerned about the money that's being spent, in Florida alone, over $19 billion. Certainly we can do better with those funds. As a matter of fact, I was on a conference call with a state legislator recently, and one of the goals when they just got this new budget, just came out Friday of last week, he said that we need to find ways to return these funds to the residents. Well, I agree with that, and so that's right in line with what HCADA does. We're hoping to effect that change throughout all of Hillsborough County.
And how early do you start this intervention? Do you start as young as elementary school or high school? When do you start sharing your message?
Well, based on CDC recommendations, what we try to do is we hit them, the youth, at middle school, starting there, through young adult, of course, the students out at USF and University of Tampa, or a college-age population as well. So really, we go from 11 or so to 24. Now, that does not mean that if you're over 24, you don't need to contact us.
Sure.
We have a lot of tools and that we could use and to leverage to help people come out of that tobacco addiction. So yes, as a matter of fact, some of the youngest people I've had in my class, that we do a tobacco awareness class with the 13th Judicial District here at the courthouse, some of the youngest students have been about 10 or 11.
Wow.
Yeah. So we you know, they've been introduced, whether at home, other social pressures, or other places. We want to leverage and let them know and increase that education and awareness that tobacco is not without its dangers.
And you mentioned that you have a class. So what kind of programs do you offer?
With HCADA, what we do is for those students who are cited with using tobacco and against the Florida statute, they have to, if they're under 18, you're not supposed to have tobacco, possess it, or use it. So if you just carried it in your book bag, not good.
Right.
So what they do is those school resource officers at the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Department, they're great partners with us, and they will, when they cite those students, they have to come to one of my classes. It's about 2 hours long, and we talk about the health effects of tobacco and also the alternatives. Let's not use tobacco. You know, no matter whether you got started because you want to be independent or I want to seem more adult. Let's talk about that, and also the alternatives to that. And
so how can people in the community get involved with you? How can they help, support, volunteer, donate, all those things?
Oh, yes. I'll tell you what. They can do it several ways. They can call us, and my number will be on the screen, 813-238-4034. They can go on the web at www.hcada.com. Or they can mail. We have some community partners who say, look, my life has been affected by tobacco use. What can I do? So they'll send any amount donation. They'll send it to us by regular mail. So they can contribute. They can donate their time. We've had a lot of former smokers who would say, let me help. I want to help this other person. I know the struggles.
That's the best way.
Yes.
From someone that knows and they've been there.
Absolutely. So we welcome that kind of help. So it's great for us.
And so what would you tell if there's a smoker watching and they're like, oh, I really want to quit. I don't know how to take that first step. What was your advice for that? My advice would be it can be done. And as a matter of fact, with the tools that we have and great partners that we have, and you'll hear more about that with our AHEC, or Area Health Education Centers at USF and Gulf Coast North and South, it can be done. I would let them know that right now, through our efforts, we have more former smokers in Florida than we do current smokers. So that's a great testament. Yeah.
Tobacco-Free Florida Week, in its 5th year, we've been observing this. There are fewer youth smokers, fewer adult smokers, and fewer people being exposed to secondhand smoke.
And bottom line, it can be done.
It can be.
I love that. Right. Well, thank you so much for all your information and for being here. Coming up next, we will be speaking with Leila Martini, the Assistant Director of Tobacco Training and Cessation at the USF Area Health Education Center. Don't go anywhere.